Hello and welcome to Sega News Bits. I'm your host George, and with me is Barry.
Hello.
And if you like these kind of content, check out our Patreon. The link is below in the description. See if you like the tiers and back us at any level to support us. This is the way we're going to do it this time around. We're going to talk about the Sega published games of 2019. Then we'll talk about some of the licensed game they have releasing. And then we'll talk about a few games that they haven't announced coming west that have been released in Japan in the past. The first game we're talking about is Team Sonic Racing, that's coming out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. The game releases on May 21st, 2019. According to the developers, Team Sonic Racing is going to focus on team gameplay. Sumo Digital has compared the game's team aspects to something like Splatoon or Overwatch. Sega has also confirmed that this is a one-off title, not a sequel to Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. According to Sumo Digital, their goal was to provide plenty of fan service and also give people something new to look and experience. The soundtrack is being done by Jun Sinyo, who hasn't worked on this major Sonic game since Sonic Generation. The game is set to release with modes including Grand Prix, Time Trial, Exhibition, and Team Adventure. Team Adventure is a story-driven campaign where you unlock rings to advance in the story. The game has also been confirmed to have 21 racing tracks and at least 15 playable characters, which equals 3 per team. What are your thoughts about this game, Barry?
Yeah, that's my one disappointment with this game is that they really need to boost the character count and have some surprises. I'm surprised actually that, in past sumo racing games, they were like, here's the list, and then you play the game and you're like, holy shit, I can play as the Dreamcast controller or Ryo Hazuki. Like, they kept secrets.
So you don't think we're going to play as the Dreamcast controller on this one?
I don't think so, but I would love to have some surprises. I'm really hoping that this is not it.
What would surprise you in the game? Like, just anything in the Sonic universe that would randomly, just be playable would surprise you.
I want classic Sonic in his Sonic Drift car.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be sweet.
The next game we're going to talk about very little about is Total War 3 Kingdoms, that's coming out on PC March 7th, 2019. This basically takes place in the Chinese era. If you like these kind of games, hey, check this game out. Judgment is coming out summer 2019, which is basically the next Yakuza Studio game. And it's also, oddly enough, according to this, the next game, this is the only game that Nagashi has directed since, Super Monkey Ball, actually directed. Other ones were, he was creative director or something like that. This one's actually directing, so that's kind of interesting. It's about a serial killer case, a murder mystery. You play a private detective. So yeah, there's that game. We also have the Virtual On Trilogy Pack, which was announced in Japan. I don't know. Wait, these aren't trilogy, right? This is just all of them coming out separately digitally.
These are the 3 arcade releases.
You want to tell them which ones they are?
Yeah, so it's going to include Cyber Troopers Virtual On, Cyber Troopers Virtual On Oretario Dangram, and there's all these MSBS version 5.66, and Virtual On Force, and these are going to be coming to PSN. There hasn't been a physical edition announced, and we don't have release dates. I personally think it would be really smart of Sega of America to release a 3-pack in maybe a steelbook case, because I think this is a really beloved franchise. And to be honest, if they're, spitting out Atlas RPGs that are completely unknown over here and holding back on Virtual On, something's wrong.
The next game on our list is Blade Arceus from Shining Rebellion, which is an upcoming expansion to the first Blade Arceus game, which featured a bunch of the new Shining characters. I mean, I'm talking about after Shining Force 3 and after a bunch of other teams took over, the new Taka designs that a lot of people are kind of, I don't want to say people hate it. There's people that love it, so it's not all hated, but not a lot of people are fans that like the old school Shining games like these. But I will say that the animation looks cool. The games look like they could be fun. I haven't played the first one. I do know it did come out on Steam, but Sega didn't release it, so I assume Sega's not releasing this one. This expansion has a brand new power move, like a alt move for each character, plus they're adding the Shining Resonance refrain characters, so that's pretty cool. It comes out on March 14th, 2019 on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch in Japan. No Western release date yet. And the next game we don't know much about either is Shin Sakura Wars, which is doesn't even have a release date. We just know that we might see it in the summer. And outside of that, it was showing at Sega Fest in 2018. That's when it was announced. Apparently, people were saying that like Sonic Team is developing this, so a lot of people have interest in that. Mm-hmm. It also was the top requested franchise that beat out Jet Set Radio, Virtual-On, Shenmue, and Virtual Fighter when they did the pooling. So they're listening, guys. The next game is Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 ports. Sega announced that they would port over all 4 of them, or all 3 of these games. Basically, 2 of them are already out in Japan. I think 4 just came out not that long, like a few days ago. And that Yakuza 5 is coming out spring 2019 in Japan. We haven't even gotten a release date here in America, but I'm pretty sure this is going to come out in 2019. One of these at least. The next one is Puyo Puyo Championship, which is also something that Sega of America hasn't announced. This was released in Japan as Puyo Puyo Esports, which is a kind of like tournament-friendly, smaller, cheaper to download Puyo Puyo game without the Tetris stuff and all that. But yeah, Sega of America also licensed or registered the trademark for Puyo Puyo Championship, which makes me think they're going to change the title in the West. So look out for that. The next one is Space Channel 5 VR. The game was first shown all the way back in Tokyo Game Show 2016 and is being created by Grounding Inc. Back then in 2016, they kind of said it was just a demo, so
wow,
that's why it's taking so long to actually be a product. But I guess it got hype enough to become an actual product. They changed the name like 3 times, and now it's called Space Channel 5 Kinda Funky Newsflash. And it has 2 new characters, Lao and Niki, and students of Ooh La La in this game. But that's basically all we know. It's going to be a VR game, at least from the hands-on that people have played. The little demo section is just the first level of the first game. So it's probably going to be a lot of that, where they're going to be repeating assets. Mm-hmm. What do you think about all these games on this list?
I think there's a lot of re-releases, a lot of repurposed games here, like 3, 4, and 5 are ports, Space Channel 5 VR is reusing assets, Puyo Puyo Championship is reusing assets. So I think the big winner here is Judgment. I think that will be Sega's big game for 2019. I think Team Sonic Racing has a long way to go to really excite fans. But that's my general read on this. And I think Shin Sakura Wars is going to be a big surprise.
And I also think that Sega has a lot of announcements for this year. I think they're keeping a lot of stuff close. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what's really going to be happening in 2019. This is just what we know is coming out. And I also wanted to mention some of the Sega Ages titles that we have coming out for the Nintendo Switch in 2018. I do hope that in 2018 they bring these to other platforms too, but they're releasing them really slowly, which is kind of surprising, but they've announced a lot. They've announced Alice Kid in Miracle World on the Master System, Columns 2 on the arcade, Outrun Arcade, which is coming out here in a few days, I think, Puyo Puyo Arcade, Puyo Puyo 2 Arcade. We also got Game Ground on arcade, Space Harrier Arcade, Thunder Force AC Arcade, Virtual Racing Arcade, and I didn't list it here, but Sonic 2 isn't out yet. So they have a long list of games announced, but not released yet. Any of these games that shouldn't be on this list, you think?
I think there's an over-reliance on puzzle games, though I understand why they're picking them. They work well on the Switch. But nothing, I don't know, nothing here really excites me, except for maybe Virtual Racing, which I think could be really cool. I like that game. I think it's underrated. Okay, and then this section, before we get into the Sega licensed games of 2019, where Sega uses an old IP and lets another company basically publish it for them, we're going to talk about Lost in Japan. These are 3 games that released in Japan and haven't had a release date here.
Most of these are at least a year old or close to a year old now. These are the 3 games I listed. A Certain Magical Virtual On, which didn't release here. Border Break. Puyo Puyo Chronicle. Which one of these, do you think any of these will come out, be announced for 2019?
I don't think A Certain Magical Virtual On's coming over because of rights issues. I think Puyo Puyo Chronicle is too late because of the 3DS. I think there's also some 3D classics that didn't come over that we'll never see. And Border Break is the one I really have my fingers crossed on because I feel like, again, like Virtual On, it's a game that I think they're underestimating and that people would really love.
I agree with that.
Yes.
But let's move on to the Sega licensed games in 2019. These are some of the games that Sega owns copyrights to or has some relationship with. First one is Bayonetta 3 on the Nintendo Switch, which we haven't really seen much about. It was teased in 2017 at the Video Game Awards. We just know it's going to be developed by Platinum Games, published by Nintendo, and it's licensed by Sega. That's all we know, and it's going to be on Nintendo Switch. The next one is Toejam and Earl Back in the Groove, which is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, March 1st, 2019. The game is being developed by Huma Nature Studios, which is founded by co-creator Greg Johnson. The game is announced on March 2015 with the launch of Kickstarter, which ended up getting over $500,000. The game was originally set to come out in 2016 and obviously missed the release date by a huge margin. At one point, Adult Swim Games was going to publish the game, and they didn't, obviously. So now it's being self-published. What do you think about this one?
It's been a long road, but I believe I just got a backer email today saying they've gone gold and the game's, on its way. So I'm optimistic about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping I can play some online multiplayer. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. It looks cool. It looks, I guess, funky, right?
Yeah. You want to talk about Shenmue 3?
Oh boy. All right, boys and girls, let me tell you about a little game called Shenmue. And they are making the 3rd game, and it apparently is coming out August 27th, 2019 to the PlayStation 4 and PC. And this thing, God, this has been a long time coming. I remember the game was announced while I was watching Jurassic World, and that feels like so long ago.
Almost half a decade.
I know, I saw the dinosaur roaring, and then I got the text saying, Shenmue 3. It was a Kickstarter campaign announced at E3. They reached $2 million in 8 hours. By July 2015, the game raised over $6 million, making it the most funded game Kickstarter history and the 6th most funded overall Kickstarter. It was announced in September 2018 that it had raised $7.1 million in total. There's been a lot of announcements since then. December 2017, they had an Indian studio doing additional character models. May 2018, they announced a partnership with Deep Silver Publishing, and they delayed the game into 2019. Since then, we've seen a lot of trailers, screenshots. There's also some, and this is my one beef with the game, is there is a lot of content out there about like the progress of the game and about the game, but it's in like French and Chinese, and I've not seen any really good English interviews. They won't talk to us, so I don't know who's going to do that, but the game sounds really interesting. There's going to be a brand new fighting mechanic. They said initially they were going to carry over 70% of what we knew from the previous games, and 30% would be like new gameplay features. But since then, it has changed to 50-50. So you're going to play the game, and half of it's going to feel really Shenmue 1 and 2, and the other half you're going to be like, this is not how I fought before. So I'm excited for it.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. This is my most anticipated, but in a very strange sort of emotion kind of game in 2019. Like, I'm excited, but I don't know what we're going to get.
It's going to be interesting if it even comes out, because like I said, they haven't even done like full motion cutscenes. Like, they haven't even showed us what it's going to look like when it comes out.
Right.
Like, it's imagine a game like, I don't know, like even Judgment, like when it was announced, already had, I mean, they had motion capture at least done,
right. Well, when Judgment was announced, they were basically like, and it comes out in 3 months. You know.
Yeah, that's
With
true.
this, they're like, the game comes out this year. We have nothing to show you.
The next game that we're talking about has, I think, everybody excited is Streets of Rage 4. They do not even have console confirmation on what platforms it's coming out, but I expect PS4, Switch, Xbox One, and PC.
Right.
It's going to come out in 2019. The game is being published by Dotemu and being co-developed by Lizard Cube and Guard Crush Games. The gameplay, I don't know if you guys played this game, but Guard Crush Games is known for a game called Streets of Fury, which is basically their fan version of Streets of Rage, where they rethought the gameplay. And Lizard Cube did the remake of Wonder Boy 3, so the idea is that Lizard Cube is doing the art and Guard Crush Games is using their old engine to make this game. And we don't really have that much info on it outside that Axel and Blaze are in this game, and that they're using this juggling mechanic. That's the new mechanic in this game that is supposed to sell it. They showed this one GIF where they're juggling back and forth and it looks really cool. But that's all we know. What do you expect from 2019 from this game, Barry?
I think, Axel has a beard, so I think they're going to reveal that Blaze has hairy legs. No one's been shaving between 3 and 4.
Yeah, they forgot.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be pretty cool. No, I think the game is going to... I think it's going to be good. I mean, the people behind this have a good track record. Everyone loved the Wonder Boy remake that they did. And I guess my only concern is that Sega proper, Sega of America, Sega Japan, Europe, whatever, are not going to promote it as much as they should be, because this is Streets of Rage 4. This is a pretty big deal. And it's just not being promoted, really. I saw the Sega social media accounts just share the screenshots that we talked about, 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're playing catch up. I think it almost feels like Sega is learning about the game just as we are. And I get that they're doing these licensed games, but I wish that there would be a little more promotion on Sega's end, because this has got to be good for them in the long run. Toejam and Earl has a new game. Kids will want to try the original games that are on the Sega Classics. Yeah, so it's it helps you. Streets of Rage 1 through 3 are on the Sega Classics as well, so,
And you want to talk to us about the Panzer Dragoon remake?
Yeah, not too much to say about these, because I feel like they might shift into 2020, but it was announced that Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Zwei, the sequel, are receiving remakes. What is the name of the developer, George?
I don't even remember, but they did Fear Effect.
That's right, yeah, they did a Fear Effect sequel, new game, whatever, and it just did not go over well. It didn't really match the style. And one of the things being said in the press release for these games is that it's going to have the same storyline, but they don't really talk about the gameplay. They said the gameplay is going to be, I guess, altered for modern gamers, and they don't really even talk about the art style and the graphics. So I'm a little concerned that this is going to be a remake, but, remember those Sega Ages, the original Sega Ages, the 2600, whatever they called them? And they remade Space Harrier, and it just looked like garbage.
Yeah, they tried to make them 3D.
Yeah, and I just feel like with this, there's a chance that they could veer too far away from what made Panzer Dragoon great. Will they have the music, the original music? You can't replace that. That stuff's classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hesitant.
Sorry, well, that's what people are scared about Streets of Rage 4 as well, because they haven't announced anything with the music either, which I think the big surprise there is going to be that Yuzo Koshiro is going to be back. But I don't know about this one.
Oh, yeah. I think Yuzo Koshiro is coming back for Streets of Rage 4. I bet there's going to be a whole Data Discs vinyl release. They're going to go crazy with it.
So you don't have any hope in the Panzer Dragoon remakes?
I'd like to learn more about it, but right now the press release doesn't really make me feel positive.
And when this was announced, a lot of people online were very happy about it, and Sam Mullen, one of the localization producers at Sega of America, said there's going to be more announcements like this coming in 2019. And it actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because they did promise back when 2015 that going to 2020, there's going to be a lot of older IPs coming out. And they've kind of really have done that so far.
Yeah.
It might not be developed by Sega, but they're coming out. Sega Ages is churning out classics. These new games are coming out by other people. So it's going to be interesting. Anything you think is going to happen in 2019, like it's going to be announced, that it's going to shock people.
I think we might learn about a new Jet Set Radio by the end of 2019 for a 2020 release. That's my crazy prediction. I think my more...
I don't think it's that crazy, dude. If you look at the list of the Japanese, remember that one list we had where I said Shin Sakura was number 1? They almost did everything in that list except for Jet Set Radio. That's the only one that hasn't been checked off.
And
so it might be...
No, I was just going to say Revolve 8 is being made by one of the Jet Set Radio creatives. So I could see it happening. There's still people at the company, and if they're really treating that list as something important to them, I could see it happen. I think my other prediction is we're going to see maybe not Sonic Mania 2 announced, but a game in the same vein where it's going to be 2D. And my guess is they're going to do more of an Earthworm Jim kind of situation where it'll be hand animated and it'll be like Sonic Mania Adventures animation, but a 2D game.
I also think that my last prediction, I think that's true, and I think Sonic Team's also going to do a Sonic Adventure remake. I know because of that news article that came out, but I think it makes sense as a stopgap game because I feel like they need to rethink the next Sonic game, and they need to do it, and they need to do it well. And I think doing a Sonic Adventure remake is a nice way to buy some time to have a game out there to make some money.
Absolutely. I think it would be great for the team too because they really dropped the ball on Forces, and I think to force the team to go back and remake the game that a lot of people really love is going to be like a school for them, and I think they need it.
That's our opinion. Let us know what you're excited for from Sega games coming out in 2019 in the comments below. And I guess we'll see you guys next year for the 2020 games, right?
Yeah, right?
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out all these other videos we have. They all have Sega content, so you might like one of them. Click, click, click.